What's going on YouTube? Watsim here again with another Forza tuning video. And yeah, this is a compilation video of a few selected tunes that I've done previously that have been updated, improved, and just new things that I've learned that have been applied to them. So let's see what I did. So here we are starting out with the Chevrolet Bel Air. And as you can see, I've got a few tunes for it, but the best one is called Smooth. I've had it out for a while, but here's what I did. So we've got 27 psi on the tyre pressure. That's pretty standard, pretty normal. The gearbox has been changed to a short shift gearbox. I've just come up with that. It works well for me. As I say, short shift, change up early. It works great. Keeping the power band, it's wonderful. We've got different camber settings. The toe's been adjusted slightly, and the caster has been quite majorly adjusted. This again all just works out better. The car's really smooth. It's lovely now. The anti-roll bars haven't been changed too much. I mean, they're still pretty firm. That's a lot firmer than I'm currently doing it, but it really works well for this car. This car's really stable and really responsive. The spring rates are set pretty standard. All started out with the base setting that I always use, which you can see in previous videos, which I will link to this video. The rebound and the bump stiffness, that's pretty good for an American muscle setup. That high difference between the two. We've got a high downforce on this as well. It's a terrible chassis. It needs all this downforce to stay on the track. Well, brake setup is pretty much the same as it always is on every car you'll see now. That is where I go 48% balance, 85% pressure. Works great for me. I love it. And my diffs, again, all pretty similar to a lot of the cars that I've got now, but you know, those things can change. And the next car we're revisiting is the '69 Mustang. This car is now really good around Road Atlanta. It's one of my favourite cars to actually drive around that track now, and in general it's actually probably one of my top 5 favourite cars that I've tuned so far. So, you know, download this one. I'm sure you'll enjoy it too. Get into the tune. I saved over the last tune because I didn't really like it. This one's called Does the Job because it does the job. There's no other way around it. It just does. And it's nice. It's there, available to download right now. So tyres, pressure's got set at 27.5, pretty standard again. Short shift gearbox again. Works really well, keeps in the power band like I say. It's the 5.7 litre V8, that's just great for that. Camber, pretty standard now what I'm doing. Twos around that kind of region, and the toe was pretty similar as well. Anti-roll bar slightly softer, more balanced, less stiff, just much better all round really. It's kind of a more balanced setup all round. Springs again, same calculation, no changes before. Starts with the base setup. I may have adjusted it slightly, but it's pretty much the same. Rebound stiffness, you know, pretty similar. You know, it's a front weighted car. You're going to have more at the front than you are at the rear. Slightly increased downforce on it. Slightly. Not a great deal, but, you know, it's an old chassis. It needs a little bit in my opinion. Same brake setup as before. 48%. 85 pressure. And again, similar diff. I just like the way this feels. It keeps the car stable. Keeps the power on through the corners. Stops the rear from sliding out too much. And the glorious Honda NSX, the 05 edition is the next one. Really enjoy this car. It's a great handling car. Really good for twisty, you know, more high downforce tracks. I have made a no downforce setup for it, but that's not really ready for me to, you know, upload and show on here yet. But it's something I'm definitely working on. So there we go. You can see the actual tunes that I've got for it. The first 2 were my original tunes for it, and the second 2. There is a no arrow one on there. You can download it, but as I say, it's not perfection at the moment. It's not really how I want it, but it's there for you if you want. But let's go for the downforce one right now. Again, race tyres. We start with 27%. So 27 psi or 27.5 makes no difference. It's got a standard gearbox on it, so that's not really anything I can do about. Similar sort of camber and everything else here. It's all pretty much relative. There are very standard things you can do at this point, and you should be seeing a theme going through this now. Anti-roll bars, slightly different again, a little bit more at the front than the rear. That's just how it has to be. That's the way the weighted car goes to the front when you brake. Springs again set with the same equation that we always do. Link it in previous videos. I'll show it. You'll see it over and over again in my videos. The rebound stiffness, again, because this is a rear weight biased car, you have more stiffness to the rear than you do to the front. Keeps it more responsive, keeps it balanced. Downforce, actually slightly less on this. It doesn't really need a great deal. It's got a great chassis. It's a race car essentially, this thing. It doesn't need that much help. Brake setup again, same as before, 48% balance, 85% pressure. And again, similar diff. High 70s acceleration, low 80s deceleration. That's just what I'm doing. It keeps it stable. I like the feel of the car. It's just how it is. And up next is a real favourite of mine, the TVR Sagaris. I love this car in this game, it's great. Loved it on Forza 5 as well. I've got two tunes to this one. I've got a handling tune and a power tune. They're both pretty good. The handling tune is very good around Prague Short in particular. It's my car for that. And the more powerful one is more made for Watkins Glen, I think, personally. So yeah, we have the grip tune there. That's obviously the grippier tune, hence the name, and the power tune there, Power 2.1. They're both tunes that I've been developing, and I will keep developing. But let's have a look what I did. Start out with the grip one first. So let's have a look at parts. With being the grippier one, we have got downforce, full downforce, front and rear. Tyres, we've got sport compound tyres, giving us decent grip. Stock front tyre width, and we've got the maximum rear tyre width. So that's, you know, giving us the most possible grip on the rear. We've got the heaviest wheels that I could possibly put on, and they have been made slightly bigger on front and rear, mainly for PI reasons. We have a stock clutch, a racing transmission, a race driveline, and of course a race diff, as you always have to do. Now all this will be on, but we've got race brakes, we've got race springs, we've got race front anti-roll bars, and yes, the rear ones there as well, they match them up. We do have a roll cage in here, but the weight has not been taken out. This car weighs very little in the first place. It's like 2,300, I think. It weighs nothing. We have a stock air filter. We do have a race manifold, stock fuel system, stock ignition, but we do have a race exhaust, stock cams, stock valves, stock engine block, and yes, stock pistons. And we have stock oil and cooling, and we have a stock flywheel. So, you know, not a lot really done to the engine. The exhaust has been changed to give us a bit less weight. Tyre pressure set to 27.5, as usual, 27 or 27.5. That's fine for race tyres, absolutely adequate. The gearbox set like that. I don't think I've done too much to this gearbox as yet. I can probably change it to a slightly shorter shifter to give me better drive. Camber again, we've got in the twos at the front. Not much in terms of toe, doesn't really need a great deal. Anti-roll bars, again, a much more balanced setup there. Not too high on either of them, just decent really. I haven't said that 29 is quite high, but yeah. Springs, again, set with the usual. You're going to hear this a lot, set with the usual equation. You know, link it in previous videos, it's fine. Rebound, 8.4 at the front, 8 at the rear, decent. You know, this all just works for me. It's got a slight increased downforce on it, tiny bit increased. Not too much. Again, we go with the stock brake setup, as I always have for every car. I just like that. That's my feel. And again, the diff. You're going to see the brakes and the diff. They're not going to change on most of my cars. They're going to be pretty much the same. I just like the way that feels. I like the handle of it. It just works well for me. And now getting to the power setup. Main difference on this will be the tyres and possibly the wheels. So yeah, we've got full downforce. Tyre compound has changed to now a street car compound, so it's worse. But you know, we're wanting to get a bit more power in the car. We have the slightly wider front tyres now, and the maximum on the rear still. The wheels have changed; they are now slightly lighter, and they are the stock rim size, so they've been taken down. So we've got a little bit less weight. Stock clutch again. We have a sport transmission this time, which I can probably do for the other tune, to be honest. Race drive line, and of course a race diff. We have race brakes, naturally, race springs, and guess what? We have got a race anti-roll bar on the front and also on the rear. Would you have guessed that? Yes, you would. But we don't have a roll cage this time. Again, we're saving weight, try to go a bit quicker. Not too much quicker though, not too much weight taken out, because no weight has actually been taken out of the actual weight reduction. But we do have a race intake this time. We have a race manifold. We do not have a race fuel system, it's a stock fuel system, it's a stock ignition also. Race exhaust again. Stock cams again. We have race valves this time. We have a race engine block. Race pistons. As you can see, a lot different this time. A lot more power in the car. Stock flywheel and stock oil and cooling. Now get into the numbers again. Now again, the tyre pressure is going to be slightly different. Worse tyres means you're going to need a slightly higher tyre pressure, so we've gone to 28 this time. There's your sport setup for the transmission. I haven't changed it, I think it's just how it is. Very similar camber again, but the toe has changed this time. There's a lot more rear toe to keep the car more stable. There's a little bit on the front this time as well, just to give you that little bit of extra turning. That's changed a hell of a lot. I can't exactly tell you why right now. I just know that it feels better. That's all I can say. Again, the springs have also changed a lot. Again, it's purely for feel reasons. This is a tune that I've tested over and over and over. I have retuned this thing over and over and over. Again, the rebound has changed a lot. The downforce has changed. Everything has changed. This is a tune that it's less done with numbers and more on feel. The brakes are the same, of course, because I never change those, and the diff is pretty much the same. But again, this was a tune that I've worked on over and over and over. And next we have my favourite car on this game so far. My favourite tune that I've done so far, the Pontiac Trans Am 77. I love this thing. I think it's great. It's, like I say, it's my favourite car. I can't say enough great things about it. I've got two tunes for it. I've got a no downforce and a downforce. Let's have a look. So as we can see, there's actually 4 tunes listed here. The first 2 are the original 2 that I did for this, and the second 2 are the ones that I've developed from those 2. The second 2 are much better driving, they're much smoother, they're much better. And the first one we're going to look at is the one without any aero, with no downforce on this thing at all. It's just got its own standard chassis grip. So let's have a look. What do I do with the engine? Of course, as you do, you change it to the 5.7 litre V8. That engine's just godly, as I've said previously. And you put the centrifugal supercharger on it. That gives you the maximum power for the least PI. It's beautiful. As I say, no downforce on this. None on the front, none on the rear. And as you can see, I haven't done anything to the bonnet. I play on cockpit view. I can't do that. It gets in my way. Tyre compound. We have a race tyre compound. And we have not quite the widest, but decent. And again, nearly the widest on the rear. 335s on the rear. Pretty good. We have the heaviest wheels, which have been made the widest possible on the front and also the rear. So quite a lot of weight on the wheels there. Stock clutch, race transmission, which is short shifting, as we'll see soon. We've got a race driveline and a race diff. And of course all this stuff's on. So we've got race brakes, we've got race springs, we've got race anti-roll bars, front and rear. And of course, with this being an American muscle car, we have a race roll cage in it as well, because it just adds to the whole performance, and all the weight has been taken out. So now, engine wise, air filter, stock air filter, stock fuel system, stock ignition, race exhaust, stock camshaft, sport valves, race engine block, race pistons. We have a race supercharger, no intercooler, don't want that extra weight, stock oil and cooling, and a sport flywheel, giving us that little extra bit of performance there. Let's have a look at the numbers. Right, so we've got 27 psi tyres, pretty standard as usual with race tyres. Now this is a short shift gearbox, short shift setup, something that I've just come up with. It works really well, so you have to change up before you get into the red zone basically. You'll get great power out of it, always stays in the power band. It's just brilliant. Drive, drive, drive. It's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Camber, pretty standard again. We're in the 2s. Got quite a bit of toe on it actually. Front and rear, which just helps, keep the thing going around corners, keeps it standard, keeps it nice and smooth. It's just lovely, this thing. And we've got a little bit of extra caster on it. Now the anti-roll bars, these, that is something I will look at to change actually on this one. I drove it recently. It's not great. I like it, but it can be improved. The springs, again, same usual setup as before, just to, start with the stock, move them around, use the equation, and then just move them around from that point. And ride height, three from the minimum is where I go for most of my ride heights. Not always, but mostly. Rebound stiffness, we pretty high, but decent, 9.5 and 9. Again, this thing is a front weight bias car, so that's always going to happen. As I say, there's no downforce on it, so that hasn't been changed. And the brakes, now I'm going to change that right now. I am now going to stick fervently to 48% and 85%. I just like it. I drove this thing yesterday, and the brakes were something that really annoyed me. I kept missing my braking point. It's because that had changed. And I'm also going to slightly change this diff to something more like what I'm doing as well. So you're going to get a completely updated version of this tune, which I've just now live tuned. But hopefully that will be a lot better. I mean, those things will make it more reliable. Okay, so moving on to the second version, the handling version of this car, my favourite version. The only thing that has changed is downforce. We have downforce on the rear and on the front. Simple as that. Same tire pressure. Gearbox, similar. Not exactly the same, similar. It's not quite the same short shifting thing. It just is the way it is. I like it the way it is. It's great. I might change it to a short shifting one in the future. I'm not sure yet, but I like where it is right now. I think it's great. Slightly different here. We haven't got as much toe at all. We've got a little bit on the rear, but that's about it. Anti-roll bar is very different. It's very stiff on the front. This thing is just, this to me is the easiest car I've got possibly to drive on the game. Springs, again, use the equation, go from that point, you'll get something around there. I may have adjusted it slightly. Rebound stiffness just works where it is. I can't really explain what this car is. This car is just great. Used it. You can use these numbers sort of in your own way, make it better. Again, I'm going to change the brakes slightly. This is the one thing I want to improve. I'm insistent now on this setup for my brakes because it just works everything I try. So again, this one's going to be slightly updated. You can get a slightly better version of this. Brakes going to be better. Well, in my opinion, they're going to be better. Whether you like it or not, I don't know. But if you don't, just copy the things I've done. Adjust it to your own heart's content. Now, last but not least, very much not least to this video, we have the Mazda RX7. This is possibly my most powerful tune that I've got. It is again, it's got the 5.7 litre V8 in it, but this car has always shifted. It shifts like shit off a shovel. I'm sorry for swearing, but it really does. I've made it a hell of a lot more stable now. I have a short shift version and I have a normal shift version. I prefer the short shift, but it's up to you. They're both there. They're both available. This thing was always quick from the time I tuned it. It's just now much more stable. So we've got 28 PSI because it's got street tires on it. Here's the short shift gearbox. That's the way it's set up right now. For me, this just gets the ultimate power of it. This thing does 200 miles an hour. It is so quick, it's unbelievable. Front camber, we've got quite a lot. We've got quite a lot of toe on it as well. Very balanced anti-roll bars because the car has got reasonably equal weight distribution. The springs, however, they're slightly harder towards the front because, like I say, this thing needs to be really stable. It rolls about a lot. It's not got a great amount of grip in certain places, but it's just got so much power. Very high on the rebound, 11 there. Quite a lot of downforce. Not a massive amount, but a decent amount. Again, brakes, they're set to what they're set to, 48 and 85, those are the numbers. And again, diff, very similar to all my other cars. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope these tunes really help you out. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.